What is going on, guys? This is Loaded Clips, and today I'm here to talk to you guys about two of Canik's most popular guns. They're often pitted against each other in comparison, and I want to talk a little bit about the differences, their similarities, and which one I actually prefer between the two. Now, they're both very good guns, but they have some distinct differences that I will highlight and that I think you should pay attention to if you're looking at getting either one of these guns. Before we get into it though, I do want to say, if you're here, go ahead and just drop a like on the video if you're watching. The support does help the channel grow. It's an easy way to just show your support. I do appreciate all you guys watching, so drop a like on the video, leave a comment down below, subscribe to the channel, and definitely stay tuned for future videos that I want to bring you guys. So without further ado, let's go ahead and just jump right in. So the two guns that I'm going to be comparing in this video are going to be the Canik METE SFT Pro. I know some people will say I'm saying the name wrong because I say METE, or it's actually like METE or something like that. I'm just gonna say METE. It's a lot easier. Y'all know what I'm talking about, so it is what it is. But this is the Canik METE SFT Pro. You guys have seen this gun plenty of times on the channel. And here we have the Canik SFx Rival. This is definitely one of Canik's most popular guns right here. This is the trophy bronze color available. And just off looks alone, if you compare these, they look very similar. I know I have the red dot and the compensator on mine right here, but they look very, very similar. And so, you know, if you didn't know any better, you would think that these were basically the same gun. And to a certain extent, they are. They have a lot of similarities. For example, they both have a 5-inch barrel. They're about the same size. They both take the same magazines. So they feel very similar in the hand. So there's not really a whole lot that separates it, but there are a few key things. First of which being the front sight on the guns, the front iron sights on the SFx Pro is fiber optic, whereas these are just tritium night sights. So they're like glow in the dark, where on the SFx Pro, SFx Rival, this is actually a fiber optic front sight. And the rear sight is adjustable here, whereas on the SFT Pro, it's just a fixed rear sight. So nothing to adjust right there. Some people might think that's important, but I personally didn't really think it's that important because I have a dot on it anyway. In the box, the METE SFT Pro came with an 18 round and a 20 round magazine. The SFx Rival came with two 18 round magazines, so slightly less capacity right there, but again, not a huge deal, especially because all the magazines are interchangeable anyway. Just thought I'd point out that difference. And they're about the same weight too. I think the SFx Rival is like 29 ounces, the METE SFT Pro is like 27 ounces, so like 2 ounces lighter, but I mean it's basically the same weight. So kind of negligible right there. Aside from that, that's really the only differences that are there. Oh, well, obviously the main difference is the SFx Rival is not gonna have a threaded barrel, whereas the SFT Pro does have a threaded barrel. So that can be a pretty big difference depending on what you're trying to do with the gun, so that's definitely worth pointing out right there. But from the factory, as I said before, they both have a barrel length of 5 inches. And lastly, we can talk price difference. For the METE SFT Pro, the MSRP on this is going to be $624.99, so $625. Of course, it's going to vary depending on where you're shopping at. You know, different gun shops may have it listed differently, but just going off the MSRP for Canik, it's going to be $625, and the SFx Rival MSRP is going to be at $680. So the SFX is going to be a little bit more expensive. You know, about $60, $55, $60 difference in price. Differences being the ones that I highlighted previously. So keep that in mind. Now, with all of that being said, I'm gonna just tell you what I personally feel about these two guns. These two guns are very similar, as I keep saying, but there are a few key differences that actually make me prefer the SFT Pro over the SFx Rival. The main difference is going to be, well, actually, no. The first thing I'll say that really pushed me over the edge is the inclusion of the threaded barrel. The threaded barrel some people it may not be important, but for me, that just enabled me to do a lot more things that I would like to, experiment with the gun. For example, I have this compensator on here right now. I would not be able to put this on here if I got the SFX Rival, because there is no threaded barrel, so I'd have to get a new barrel to support that in this gun, which is obviously more money invested into the gun when this came with it straight from the factory. Of course, you can experiment with things like suppressor height iron sights, actually suppress the gun if that's something that you wanted to look into doing. Even if you don't do it, it's nice to have the option with the gun that comes with the threaded barrel from the factory. So that was one of the main things that really pushed me more towards this gun over the SFX Rival. I think they shoot fairly similar. I can't sit here and say that the SFX Rival shoots better than the SFT Pro. It's really kind of negligible to me. Of course, if I sit there and really try and nitpick, I may be able to find some differences, but there is really no noticeable difference in how they perform. Just stock, just no changes, no nothing, just straight from the factory. How they shoot, how they feel in your hand is really negligible. The second thing I'll say that really kind of swayed me over the edge, and this may be a little controversial to some people depending on who you talk to or what your opinion is, but in my opinion, I just feel like the trigger in the SFT Pro is slightly better than the trigger in the SFX Rival. I know some people are probably hearing that and calling me crazy, saying I don't know what I'm talking about, I don't know guns, whatever. I'm just talking about how it feels to me. You may feel differently, and that's okay, but from what my experience with these guns, the trigger feels better in the SFT Pro. And let me tell you exactly why I feel that way. We're looking at the trigger on the SFX Rival. I'm going to try and make this so you guys can see it, even though it's not really going to come across exactly on camera, but that's fine. But just going to rack the slide. Both these guns have been cleared, obviously. If you have the trigger right here, this is the SFX Rival. Now, if you go and just put a little pressure on it, you'll see there's not two walls to it, but there's kind of like an initial take up and then a second take up before really hitting that firm wall. So right here you have the the integrated trigger safety, and then you put a little more, and then boom, you hit the wall right there, and then you put a little more pressure. Obviously, you get a little bit more of a kind of resistance, and then finally that trigger breaks. Now, this is a good trigger in my experience, so we'll do it one more time, a little quicker. There, and you see the reset right there. Quick reset. I mean, Caniks have great triggers all around, so it's really just kind of a nitpicking thing. But just one more time, you can kind of see. There it is, and I'm just putting a little pressure here, and then it breaks. Now, let's compare that to the SFT Pro. So, very similar triggers, flat facing. Here's the trigger safety right here. I'm going to put a little bit of pressure, and then bam. So, if you noticed, I'm already at that wall. It's very, very quick to get that wall, and immediately I could kind of tell that and preferred this because I can just kind of get my shot off faster and more precisely because that wall is a lot closer. So again, finger off the trigger, trigger safety, pressure, and then wall right there. Put a little bit more pressure, and there's the break. Now, you're not gonna be able to see on camera, but the feel in between hitting the wall and then actually firing around, the SFX Rival to me just feels a little bit spongier than the SFT Pro. When I get to that wall here, I really feel like it's more of a crisp break than the Rival. again, my opinion, some people may feel differently, but if anybody ever asks me, I mean, a few people have actually asked me which one I prefer. I always tell them the same thing, just on my experience. The trigger feels better in the SFT Pro, but I mean, really, you're not gonna get a bad gun by going with either one of these, so it's kind of like you're drawing straws at this point. But that is just the main reasons why I went with the SFT Pro over the SFX Rival. If you feel differently, definitely feel free to leave it below in the comments. Let me know what you guys think. Or if you think there is another gun besides any of these two that are maybe even better than the SFT Pro or the Rival, definitely share that feedback in the comments with me. Also, if you are interested in either one of these guns or any guns that Canik has to offer, we do have a lot of them on sale on our website. You can check that out in the description. And that's pretty much all I got for you guys. I don't want to sit here and go on too long about it. Just wanted to share my thoughts about the difference between these two guns, because I do hear these being pitted against each other quite often. People ask me about it often, so I wanted to share my thoughts on that with you guys. So that's going to be it for today. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for future videos. Once again, if you haven't already, go ahead and leave a like on the video, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you in the next one. Be safe, be smart, be blessed. I'm out.